What's up? Hey, what's good? What's poppin'? I am Miss Berry. Welcome back to my channel. I appreciate you guys for sliding through and coming to kick it with me. As you guys can see from the title, I'm getting back up into this Margaret Sanger. I want to know a little bit more. This is the truth behind the Planned Parenthood founder. So we're gonna see what she's talking about, what is talking about. So let's get into it. All right, y'all. Press play.
As founder of the American Birth Control League, which later became Planned Parenthood, Margaret Sanger was no doubt a controversial figure with disturbing views on eugenics, race, and population control. While some argue she even wanted to exterminate the Black race, others are trying to erase that part of her past.
The Mike Wallace interview.
In the eyes of some, Margaret Sanger has been a heroine. In the eyes of others, she's been a destructive force.
In her own words, Sanger pushed for a society that limited births to those she deemed fit to have children.
I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a...
I seen that this interview. If you guys have not seen my reaction to it, then after this video, take a stroll on my channel and take a look, because I thought I didn't really like what she said in this particular, about this.
Human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born.
In 1916, Sanger opened the country's first birth control clinic. As a member of the American Eugenics Society, she advocated improving the genetic composition of humans through controlled reproduction of different races and classes. She often wrote about the issue in the journal she founded, called the Birth Control Review. In 1919, writing,
I personally believe in the sterilization of the feeble-minded, the insane, and the syphilitic. The most urgent problem today is how to limit and discourage the over-fertility of the mentally and physically defective.
Many point to a 1923 New York Times interview as proof of Sanger's racist motives, in which she referred to people as weeds, saying,
It means the release and cultivation of the better racial elements in our society and the gradual suppression, elimination, and eventual extirpation of defective stocks, those human weeds which threaten the blooming of the finest flowers of American civilization.
Hayden Ludwig, an investigative researcher, has extensively studied Sanger's life and writings.
She talked about the need for race betterment through controlling these weeds, basically undesirable people.
In 1939, after opening another clinic in Harlem, the birth control activist launched the Negro Project, an initiative supported by Black leaders, such as civil rights activist W.E.B. Du Bois. Critics claim the program used the pretense of better health and family planning for poor Blacks in the South as an attempt to limit the Black race. Ludwig says some on the left grapple with Sanger's past and how to interpret her legacy.
They know when she writes about human weeds, they know that it's repulsive. They know it's disgusting. The left will never abandon Margaret Sanger, because if they do, she's the foundation of so many of their views.
Sanger once shared her vision for a preferred race at a women's branch of the Ku Klux Klan, writing in her autobiography,
Always, to me, any aroused group was a good group.
Despite those views, liberals praise Sanger's work while ignoring her history.
I admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. I am really in awe of her.
Ryan Baumberger, founder of the Radiance Foundation, says abortion proponents are working to clean up Sanger's past and what she stood for.
They have to reinvent her every time they talk about her.
Those two, they look like the same people. I'm just gonna go back for a split second. Where is it? Right here. Wait, no, right here. They look like the same people. Like, they look like twins. So are they related, or is it just, I don't know.
And what she stood for.
They have to reinvent her every time they talk about her in order to justify their celebration of her.
Former Planned Parenthood Director Abby Johnson says those inside the abortion industry are trained to overlook Sanger's racist views.
They give you an answer like, well, I mean, yes, Margaret Sanger was a racist, but everybody was a racist back then. You accept it because she is your hero. And she has to be your hero. You can't.
No, I'm not going to accept somebody just because they did something, but they're racist. Like, I'm not going to overlook something that was said because this person, because they were, no, I'm not going to do any of that. But that's just my view on it.
Not question Planned Parenthood.
In 1997, Stephen Mosher of the Population Research Institute wrote about the push to repackage Margaret Sanger in the Wall Street Journal.
The reason I call it the repackaging of Margaret Sanger is because after the Nazi regime destroyed the legitimacy of eugenics forever, they then went back and said, oh, she was just an early feminist. She was just an early supporter of family planning. No, she wasn't. Now, she was a supporter of giving IQ tests to people. She was in favor of using those IQ tests to determine who should be sterilized and who should have children.
In a response titled The Demonization of Margaret Sanger, Alexander Sanger, her grandson and president of Planned Parenthood at the time, called Mosher's editorial unfair. In the same piece, Esther Katz, director of NYU's Margaret Sanger Papers Project, claimed evidence revealing Sanger did not rationalize her support for birth control on racist grounds, that she never advocated genocidal policies aimed at racial, ethnic, or religious groups, and that she, in fact, believed access to birth control would benefit, not eliminate minority populations. Dr. Katz turned down our request for an interview. Although in this article, the editor as public authority interpreting Margaret Sanger, she wrote, by our current highly sensitized standards, some of her attitudes and statements can be construed as racist, elitist, ethnocentric, and not politically correct. In 1942, Margaret Sanger's American Birth Control League became Planned Parenthood, which has moved to fulfill its founders' goals, helped greatly by the Supreme Court decision in Roe v. Wade.
Under the veil of secrecy and deception, 60+ million babies have not been born because they were aborted legally since '73. 1/3 of that population belong to the African American community.
A frightening and telling number given blacks make up only 13% of the U.S. population. Dan Gaynor of the Media Research Center says that Sanger's true mission remains alive and well throughout today's abortion industry.
Look at the maps. See where the abortion facilities are. They are near places where people are marginalized, people are poor, people are minority. And
you know what? Excuse me, y'all, but paying attention to it now, you know what? It is. I do see, I mean, they Planned Parenthood to be everywhere, but I have seen them in areas that I wouldn't think they would be in. So
that's their target market.
Generation after generation, we have built a better world for our daughters.
Because of allies in the media and academia, Gaynor also points out how speech from conservatives and others about Sanger's past, Planned Parenthood practices, and abortion is often classified as hate speech.
There's nothing as close to a sacrament in the media as abortion. It is a holy writ that abortion is protected. And anybody who comes out against it, any organization, any business, anybody, the media swarm.
So does social media.
Facebook's new oversight board, and this is really concerning, has 4 co-chairs. And they're going to be the appeals board for content. Well, one of the 4 oversight board is on the board of an pro-abortion group. There's no pro-lifers. They're not there.
The problem also exists on many college campuses.
I remember at Harvard, they laughed when I was talking about the history of eugenics. And they said, that doesn't matter. Planned Parenthood is not like it was during Margaret Sanger's days.
Those who oppose her views say not true and are committed to exposing her past for future generations. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Well, keep in mind this is a serious matter. You're trying to revise history to suit a political agenda and suit a political argument. The source of that story, curiously, is a group called NewsGuard, and what they are, they're self-appointed watchdogs of news organizations, and obviously coming from the left. CBN News had published a series of articles on Alveda King and had quoted her accurately, saying that Margaret Sanger thought that black people were human weeds. Well, he came at us for that and saying,
like, that is just so utterly disrespectful to say.
You can't quote her accurately. You always have to put a disclaimer that there's no evidence that Margaret Sanger ever used the term human weeds. And he, in turn, quoted Esther Katz, who said that she had reviewed all of Margaret Sanger's papers and couldn't find any evidence that she ever used the term human weeds. Well, she knows full well about that New York Times article, and what she was saying is, well, within her papers, it's not there. But within the public record, it is there. And so there's a conscious effort to rewrite history and declare her as some kind of hero that we should all look up to and ignore the root of Planned Parenthood, which is quite clearly eugenics. Now, you go back to the title of that New York Times article, and it says, "Creating a Race of Thoroughbreds." So it's selective breeding. That's what this is all about. And within that selective breeding, you have to breed out what you think is undesirable. Well, in today's world, that is morally reprehensible. And you can't change that history, and you shouldn't even try to change that history. I don't understand this, but here at CBN News, we want to set the record straight. Here's what Margaret Sanger really believed.
And it's interesting because it is very much like Hitler and the move against the Jews.
Well, eugenics was at the core of Hitler.
Exactly. And we all recognize how reprehensible that was, but because this has political attachments to it for other issues, other things, including this issue. I mean, people just refuse.
Yeah.
Just refuse.
And if you doubt that there's some eugenics behind it, just take your own survey. In my hometown, when you go out and look for the Planned Parenthood, you have to drive to certain neighborhoods to find those clinics. There's a reason that they place them geographically there, so that they're in walking distance. Do that same test in your hometown, and then take a look at, well, where do they geographically locate these clinics? And then you've got to start asking the question, why?
Well, CBN is launching a new prayer initiative, and part of that prayer is seeing some of this change.
You look at what's going on in America today, and you look at the drive, and it's a just drive for equality in America.
Yes.
And, you know, look at this past story. What would America look like today if 20 million African-American babies had not been aborted? Well,
you know what? It's crazy he just said that, because I was just thinking it in my head. Like, what would the world be if, did they say, because these 20 million, I thought it was like 30 million, or was it 60 million? I think it was 30 million. But anyway, if like no babies was ever aborted, if Planned Parenthood never existed, if abortion, any of that just never existed, I just wonder, like, what would the world look like, and how many people would be in the world then? Because there's a lot of us now. You know, it's just, it makes me think deep.
How far along would we be to racial equality? We've got COVID-19. There are locust swarms. There are hurricanes that are being threatened. Our economy's in shambles. We're so politically divided, we can't even talk to each other.
Yeah.
Let me underline that one. We can't have a conversation. We have to shout at one another. And we have to try to outshout one another. We need to pray. We need to have God come in and bring peace. So we have a prayer initiative, and we're asking you to join us. All we're asking is, will you stand one time a day and pray for your home, pray for your neighborhood, pray for your nation?
What the heck? I'm like trying to figure out why this video just stopped.
You can do that in total isolation. You can stand in a closet in your house. You can stand in your driveway. You can stand on your front porch, your back porch. You can stand in any room you want to. You can walk your neighborhood and stand there. You pick the place, but we're asking you to commit to pray daily. Pray for unity, pray for America, pray for the world. So, as a 700 Club interactive viewer, you may have already received a mailing inviting you to join with us. And so, all you have to do is mail in your response, or if you didn't get the mailing, call us, 1-800-700-7000, or you can go to our website, cbn.com/standandpray, or you can even text us, pray, text that word pray to 71777. And you'll be community. Well, we've got a wonderful world, a map of America showing all the different states and how many people have registered to pray.
Oh, wow.
And we want to show we're praying. Let's show that we're standing, we're declaring the goodness, the promises of God. We also have a free prayer card for you. You can place on a doorway or a window just to remind you to please pray, please stand and pray. You can also get a daily scripture reading by my father by email that will encourage you and give you some prayer points. So do it. Sign up. Let's pray. God can be an answer, will be the answer. All we have to do is ask him. Hello, I'm Gordon Robertson. Thanks for watching the video. Be sure to like.
All right, y'all. So we're going to end that video right there like that. It was pretty interesting. I'm like multitasking, but I was most definitely paying attention. It's pretty interesting. You know what? I hear a lot about the left. I hear a lot of negative things about the left. A lot of negative things. Everything that I've heard so far about the left, from just videos that I've reacted to, things I've read on my own time outside of YouTube, you know, you guys commenting, you know, you just filling me in on little gaps of things. You guys, everybody all says the same thing. I haven't came across, well, kind of, but it was like more of a debate, but I haven't come across like any video with, you know, anybody positively speaking on the left. But then again, it could just be the videos of choice that I'm choosing to actually react to. So, but at the same time, you know, it's just all pretty interesting. Like Planned Parenthood, like, yeah, I understand what Planned Parenthood is and what it can do for people, especially in situations where, you know, they could be raped or something and end up pregnant. You know, it's just different scenarios, different things. People have their own reasoning. But what pretty much gets me is the fact that blacks are like, what, human weeds? That's what was said. And it's just trying to control the unwanted population and like all of this stuff. Like, it's just, who makes these people feel so entitled to just think that they could? I mean, to be honest, her Planned Parenthood is still going on in today's world, you know, like, so like her vision, as they said, I feel like to a certain extent has come true, but the real reasoning, as I'm learning behind it, is just like, wait, what? You know, like, this is just your way to try to control, you know, something or unwanted. So like, I understand people are born with diseases, this or that, but we live in a world where it's a lot of different things going on in a lot of different places, and it's just not here, it's everywhere, you know. And it's just impossible to prevent something that you don't know is going to occur. Like, you know, like if it's preventable, I'm pretty sure you would take measures to prevent certain things from happening. But it's just crazy to me how evil people can be. Anyway, guys, comment down below, give me more things that you guys would like to see me react to on this channel. Y'all can drop links, whatever you prefer. Also, guys, don't forget to thumbs up, like up this video. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that red subscribe button and ring that bell, so when I drop a new video, you will know, you won't miss it, and you'll be right here. Y'all, come on, head to the comments, let's talk about this. I want to be able to talk about stuff like this with you guys, because, you know, I'm expanding my mind. I know it's a lot of you guys who have way more knowledge than I do, and I would love to know you guys' perspective on certain things and your knowledge, so I could, you know, put it all together and fill in on my own knowledge. But, well, not knowledge, but opinion. Anyway, guys, as always, I appreciate you guys so much for coming in and coming to kick it with me, and until next time.